the Rotary Club of Maraval has kept focus on its mandate of service above self. Here to speak about some key achievements, we have President 2020 to 2021, Giselle Holder, and the project's chair, Mary Charles. And Madam President, we want to start with you getting an idea of the areas that you serve specifically, because I heard there's one area that is a little outside of Maraval that you also pay special attention to.
That is very right. And please allow me to just say thank you, first of all, for this opportunity to be able to share on some of the good works happening right here in Trinidad and Tobago. So as you would have mentioned from our name, we're the Rotary Club of Maraval, and therefore our focus primarily would be with the Maraval community. However, due to some of our long-standing members, we have a relationship of over 20 years plus with the Rampanalgas community, and we share a long-standing history with them of helping out within the community itself and moving forward with that, maintaining a very strong relationship with the Rampanalgas RC Primary School, where we continue, from the donation of tablets to helping them with the way in which they administer the schooling system. All these things we've kept up, and even though it's a bit far from Maraval.
And you're saying that, you're calling that name and you're making me feel nostalgic. I remember there was a year that I did a carnival retreat at Rampanalgas RC. That was interesting. But in terms of what is happening now, I want the project chair, Ms. Charles, the impact of COVID-19 on some of the projects. What are some of the projects that you're involved in, and how has the pandemic affected those projects that you're dealing with?
Okay, you're quite right. In connection with the pandemic has really resulted in us had to hold back a lot of our what we had planned to do from July last year to now. For instance, we were going to do a peace project in the Maraval schools, where we already got people coming to talk at peace and conflict. Now that you have virtual, we weren't able to do that, but now we are still trying to do something with it. We have spoken to the principals, and they have all bought into the idea of doing it virtual. We just will do it with some classes at a time. But it is so important that the children understand their problems with conflict. They may have at the home or with each other. So that's one thing that we are planning to do in the next few weeks. We have been having talks over the last couple of months. The other project that we wanted to have done as well, obesity in children, which that is a Caribbean problem. It has been going on for years. So we have been having talks with someone who is very involved with good eating habits and how to get children to eat better meals and so on. And we are involving the parents in that. And that is all now being on cards for us to start doing that. But this is a long-term project because this is a real problem. We're going to do it hopefully for the next few years. So we have a lot of great ideas of how to do it and how to engage the children with activities, sporting activities, games, and talks on the obesity problem that we all seem to have in the Caribbean.
I like the fact.
Also,
okay, sorry.
We want to. Sorry.
No, I like the fact that some of these projects that you're speaking about, because we're finding that especially at this point in time where we find ourselves in the home a little more, we're not able to leave as much. Sometimes some things that we may have been able to go take a walk, go deal with on work, we need to face that person who we have that conflict with, and it helps to be able to resolve that in a manner that is the ideal way to do it, as opposed to saying, okay, well, resorting to violence, or we don't know necessarily what to do, but to put tools in the toolbox. And many times, I think children are the ones to suffer because they're the ones who have the least power in these kind of relationships. So I really appreciate some of these things that you're doing. But you were going to talk about some of the other projects that you're doing, Mary?
Yes. We also did a reading program with La Salva, where volunteers from our club and friends of Rotary went to the cyber for 1 hour a week to read and do storytelling to the children. And I need to tell you that I've been to quite a few, and the children are excited about that interaction every week with us, and they get very involved, and they come and read to us and so on. So that's another wonderful program we've had going on for about a year and a half. Of course, no, we can't do it. We are hoping to restart it soon, and because we also hope to do it with the Bosser School as well. But like everything else, that is on hold.
And in terms of on hold,
but
just before you continue though, Mary, let me bring Giselle back in. And
okay,
you spoke about the way that the children are happy for that engagement. And I want to know, Giselle, engagement, yes, but what is happening right now with the club itself? How are you meeting members? How are you deciding what are the things that you're going forward with, the things that will be put on hold? How does that interaction happen at this point in time?
Yeah, so it's very new to us in that, just like everyone else, we've been impacted by the restrictions that COVID-19 has brought on. So we are accustomed being very hands-on. We meet in person, and we are accustomed to, having lunchtime meetings, using that opportunity to plan, to discuss, to implement. But we've had to shift also to the online environment. Thankfully, though, our members have been able to make that transition with us as well. And so we still continue that planning process. We do have a long-term plan in terms of we already know who our next president is, the president after that. So what we always try to do is ensure that our projects are not just for now, but that we have a sustainability aspect of it, so we're able to plan beyond 2020, 2021, and really look forward to, what we do now impacting the future.
And I like the fact that there's that succession planning built into the system, because I'm trying to imagine if somebody told you in 2019, this is what you're going to be met with or faced with, Madam President, what your response would have been. But in terms of, you started to speak about some of the schools that you dealt with, Rampanalgas, RC, La Saiva, and some others, and that would have been interacting with them for tablets or grants towards tablets. Take me through that process, thank you.
Sure. So we were able, through many different sponsors / donors, one main one being the People Bridge Charitable Foundation. This is a charity based in Canada, and one of our part members, she is active in that. And so through her, we are able to tap into some funding to help us be able to realize certain projects here in Trinidad and Tobago. And she is very keen on assisting the Rampanalgas community. So when we told her about this device drive, so to speak, that we wanted to do, she was right on board. Similarly, we were very fortunate to access a grant through our Rotary district, because Rotary is beyond Trinidad and Tobago, it's international. We were able to draw down on a grant funding, which also aided us in putting together what would have been 82 tablets to then share amongst the 5 schools.
And I remember in conversation before you were speaking about where it is you're sourcing resources from, whether or not you're getting it from the private community here or people outside. But that is something that we will continue with when we return from the break. Stay with us. We are speaking with the Rotary Club of Maraval. Don't move a muscle. Welcome back. We are speaking with Giselle Holder and Mary Charles of the Rotary Club of Maraval. Just before we took the break, we started talking about where you were sourcing devices, donors, grants from. And I want to continue with that train of thought, please, Giselle, in the sense that how important is it that you're able to have these networkings both inside of Trinidad and outside, when everyone is looking to see exactly where their pennies and their cents are going? And I'll even talk about networking between Rotary clubs in Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, you are quite right, because one of the strengths of Rotary is that it is an international organization. So we are able to leverage between, whether it be local clubs right here in Trinidad, we have 22 clubs right here. We have 73 within our district, which makes up half of the Caribbean. And, this engagement and this network, this connectivity is really what allows us to do what we do. A perfect example is that the Rotary Club of Princestown, they gifted us 10 food hampers that they received from PriceMart as a donation. And we, in return, were able to donate that now to families in need in Cascade St. Anne's area. And, that is really the power of the community that we are in through Rotary, because yes, we do get a lot of sponsorship, thankfully, through private sector and through individuals, but we also need to look elsewhere because everyone has been impacted by COVID-19. And so, you can't just depend on the same pool all the time. We need to be creative, we need to be innovative. And, that also speaks to the way we've had to change our way of fundraising. We're an NGO, NPO, and basically we've had to be very, very creative in terms of how we get the funds to do what we need to do.
And I want to talk about some of that creativity in just a bit, but Mary, I can't leave you out of the conversation. I'm pulling you back in, please. There was a principal forum, I believe. And what was some of the things that you all spoke about in that forum when you met with some of those principals?
Well, the main thing, we wanted to sell the idea of the programs we want to bring into the schools, the peace and conflict and the obesity. We have been dealing with them over the years, for instance, with La Salva, but we have extended our help to the other 3 Maraval schools, Paramen, the Maraval, and Bossier. So now we have La Salva, Maraval, Bossier, and Paramen. So those are the programs. We started a cricket program, wind ball cricket, where we have pollen board, brought in some, and we had the competitions, but because of COVID again, the children were so enthusiastic about, they did well, they played against each other in a tournament in Queen's Park Oval. So that's one big program that I'm hoping could start again soon. It was really, and the principals have all agreed to come on board for all the programs, even though it will be virtual. They're happy for their teachers, also the principals and the teachers came on board for us to sell the idea to them, because the teachers have to be involved to fit it into their schedule of teaching.
And I like the fact that you raised that, because sometimes we think about a project and say, okay, well, we're just going to give you this and you use it. But many times it seems as though with projects, you need to have this sort of relationship. And when you have that ongoing relationship, it's easier to have information go back and forth, so you're able to have buy-in, so that people can take it and run with it further than you can just say, okay, well, this is a good idea, here it is.
Well, Dirk, I must tell you that I'm not selling myself, but I have an excellent relationship with all 5 schools we deal with. The principals, they're all very accommodating and helpful, so it makes my job much easier and of selling them. Sometimes I feel like I am a little bit miserable, harassing them to do a lot, because, they're all under a lot of pressure. But the relationship I have with the 5 principals are fantastic. So I got a lot of cooperation with them.
And we're very glad to hear that. And in terms of hearing, we want to hear about some of the creativity. So Giselle, you said you had to get creative. I heard you all even had you all had big name chef too?
Well, you have to keep up with the expectations, right? So we are accustomed doing very grand, fundraisers. We are known for our jazz fundraiser, but of course you're talking 800 plus people in one space. So that is so not something we could do now. So thanks to our fundraising chair and our fundraising committee, the idea of a virtual cooking extravaganza came up. And we were all blown away by not only the reception, but just the way in which it was brought over. We had Chef Debbie Sandina coming on, and she is known for her time in Hilton and just for her own creativity and just being wonderful. And she basically put on this very informative step-by-step cooking show that all the participants were able to follow and actually create a it seems simple, but so beautiful dish. So it was a great way to actually bond with your family while learning key tips and tricks in the kitchen, you know, how to cook some very familiar things. I think the dish itself was just basic, you know, it was fish and a side. But a lot of people came back and told us they've learned new techniques that they could use in the kitchen for cooking afterwards. And we were really just blown away, as I said, by the reception. And we really hope to do something else along this line. But it what took us out of our comfort zone, but we certainly are thankful for the reception and what we were able to get into.
Well, they say that nothing grows in a comfort zone, so I guess this is the time for that, where we have so many things where we need to learn new skills and redefine older ones. But I want to talk about something that Mary knows nothing about, because it's not time for that yet, in terms of elderly or long-stay homes. I think you all had some interactions with them as well, in terms of dropping things, but all that they would need in terms of necessary items, but also some fun things too, to keep those individuals engaged.
Yes, and do you want me or Giselle? Oh?
Well, I want to talk to the young girl. Go through, Mary.
Yes, Mary,
okay.
This is Mary's thing.
Okay, well, we started being involved with this in Andrew's home way back, about 18, 19 years ago. And now we have that bingo every 2 weeks, and it's amazing how these elderly people participate. And also we had them doing chair yoga every week, you know, not lie down to it, chair yoga. And then we have regular get-togethers, quarterly birthday parties for them. You know, whoever birthday fell within that period, we had it and so on. So we have Christmas party for them and things like that. So that, don't tell me that you said I don't do anything with the elderly. I am very involved with them, very involved with them.
Okay, and we have about a minute and a half more. So, and Giselle, I want to take it back to you, thanks. Because with all of these things happening, yes, you all have projects, you all have things that you're working towards, but I'm sure that you all would have been approached on one-on-one cases. So is that something that you all have been able to facilitate? How have you all been dealing with that?
Yes, we try our best, though our structure really isn't for one-on-one, you know, in terms of adopting any cases. We'd certainly try our best not to turn away anyone in need. So as a club, really, it ends up being something that our members take on, that they, you know, take out of their pockets to assist, so whether it be in kind, in terms of food items, donations, or if it's monetary as needed. Recently, we helped someone with just setting up a internet account so that they would have some internet for their child for the school term. So we try our best as far as possible to see how we could also connect them to other organizations that could help them in the long term as well.
And if someone wanted to connect with the Rotary Club of Maraval to possibly, I have surplus, I want you all to deal with it or see that it gets to the correct places, how do they contact you?
Yeah, so we have an email address that we're on every day. So that's rotarymaraval@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media, Rotary Club of Maraval on Facebook. We're also on Instagram, right? And we have our website, Rotary Club of Maraval. So just remember Rotary Club of Maraval, and you could definitely get us through a simple Google search.
All right, thank you so much, Giselle Holder. Thank you, Mary Charles. And we want to thank you on behalf of the entire news team for joining us this evening. I'm DK Roster. Have a good night.